Neil GORENFLO, who is the founder of Sharable. And we are going to speak in English for this session. Thank you.
Hi, Allison.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm okay, thank you. In fact, I don't think I introduced myself at the beginning, but that's okay.
Well, I'm Neil GORENFLO of Sharable magazine, and I'm trying to get these slides to work. Oh, wait, it worked now, yay. Okay. And we, at Sharable, a nonprofit based out of San Francisco, write about the sharing economy, a new creative and social way to provision and create. And I'd like to talk about the sharing economy through stories, because that's what we do at Sharable. And I want to start with my own story, which starts in 2004 at this hotel in Brussels, which I lived at virtually for about 6 months. And I was working for a big multinational corporation, doing a lot of traveling and kind of neither here nor there. And I on a sunny Saturday afternoon, I went for a jog. And I remember running up this hill and stopping in the parking lot of a warehouse. And something unexpected happened. I started to cry. And I started to think about, am I doing the right thing with my life? I didn't feel fulfilled. I didn't feel like my creative potential was being realized in this big company, and that this earn and spend lifestyle wasn't wasn't really making me happy. And my life sort of flashed in front of my eyes, and through all of my experiences and struggles, I gained insight into something that I had been struggling kind of alone this whole time, and at the time I was 40 years old, and that really made me start to cry, and it also connected me with something bigger, that it wasn't just my situation, that it was the situations of millions and maybe even billions of people. And for the first time, I really felt that pain and loneliness. I remember I got on my knees actually, and I was just bawling. And I remember the broken bits of glass in the pavement and faded paper and like grass growing up the top. And it was so. This feeling struck me so hard that I walked away, and I made a commitment to do whatever I could to create a world for myself and others, just one person, where people could easily find meaningful work and find help and love and be a part of a community, something that I felt like I had missed my whole life. And so I just got up, brushed my knees off, ran back to my hotel room, wrote a letter of resignation, and took the first flight home that I could get. And that was the end of my corporate career. And what I'm going to share now is what I learned from that point on about the economy. And I'm going to do it through the stories of 3 individuals that are really bringing this economy to life. And first, I'll introduce you to, this is Peg Powell. She's my neighbor in Mountain View, California, in Silicon Valley. And I don't have a car, so whenever I need one, I rent my car from Peg through a service called GetAround. And it works out super easy. I've been doing it for 2 years, and GetAround handles all the billing, all the insurance and scheduling and everything. It's cheaper, more convenient, and it's kind of fun because I've made friends with Peg, and I've gotten to know her a little bit. And she's a retired engineer, and I think retired involuntarily, or kind of early retired, not by choice. And she began using these services. She was renting out her, her two rooms out on Airbnb, and then also her car on GetAround to generate a little income. And she with the loss of her job, was in a crisis and risked losing her home. So by using these services, she was able to stay in her home and kind of create a new lifestyle, one based on sharing and collaboration, and some extra income. But I think more importantly, she, it looks to me like she's having a lot of fun with it. That it's for a retired person, she is connected and very active in the community, and a really fun and social person. And so this fits with her lifestyle very well. She has much more time to do things that she really cares about. And she's part of a trend called collaborative consumption, where people are choosing to rent their things to their neighbors and even strangers, but also to access goods and services on demand, and only pay for what they use instead of taking on the burdens and high cost of ownership. And we're in a period when there's a kind of explosion of new services that help us share all kinds of things, ties and cars, textbooks, cars, spare rooms, jewelry. I mean, the list goes on. I mean, even there's a peer-to-peer dog sitting site, and I loan money to strangers on Lending Club, and get a better return than I was getting before. And this I think will have a huge impact on the economy, and to sort of dive into what that impact could be, it's, I think, useful to look at car sharing, because there's a lot of statistics around car sharing, and it's been around a long time. And this whole economy is sort of modeled after, some people have even called it the zip car economy. And for every one car, shared car, you can replace 13 owned cars. And if a city is able to take 15,000 cars off the road, it can keep an estimated 100 million euros in the local economy annually. And then in North America, 50% of people join car sharing to get access to a car that didn't already have access to a car. So here you have a solution which reduces resource use, increases access to resources, and also is good for the local economy. And think about that. What that would be if our whole economy, the way that we consumed, was designed around this. It opens a new path to prosperity, not prosperity through growth, but prosperity through sharing. And so my next friend is Medrick Addison of Evergreen Co-ops in Cleveland. And Medrick, he's born and bred in Cleveland. I mean, a town hit hard. All the manufacturing jobs, most of them have been outsourced. And so very high unemployment. And the cooperative model, and he's part of the most green, it's a co-op, but the most green commercial laundry probably in all of Ohio. But the co-op model is a way for Medrick and his community to take control of their own economic destiny, create their own jobs. And the co-op model is known for its democratic ownership and management. There's no executive class or investor class, and this way of organizing an enterprise offers an advantage in the marketplace. You can attract high-quality workers. You typically, these cooperatives do better in recessions. They're more resilient, and they tend to last longer. People are very invested in them, and they stay in the community. And the cooperative movement is a global movement. I mean, co-ops have been around for 200 years. They're really on the rise right now. Co-ops employ 20% more people than multinational corporations. Something like 800 million people are members of a co-op around the world. And they're so important that the United Nations celebrated 2012 as the International Year of the Co-op, because it's a proven model to grassroots, bottom-up way to address poverty and to create jobs. And this is my friend David Lang, who lives in San Francisco. I met David. David was one of those guys who, really smart. He comes from a good family, went to the right school, got good grades, got the good job out of college. The only problem is that the job he got, although high paying, was so boring that he quit in 6 months. And he had a passion for the ocean. He came to the Bay Area. He was coming from the Midwest, and he was in a sailing school for a little bit, but he got interested in the maker movement. And he joined Tech Shop, which is an open access workshop, which you join like a gym membership and pay like $100, $150, and it has all this equipment. You can build almost in any material. And he took all the classes, and he found his business partner, Eric, and they launched this project, Open ROV. So they built a prototype, they put it on Kickstarter, they raised $125,000, and then they created their own jobs. They were a micro manufacturer at that point. And in parallel to this, he started writing about his experience, blogging about it, and he wanted to do a book about it. So he put his book idea on Kickstarter, raised another $50,000, and in the whole process, he became a sort of young voice in the maker movement, recognized, and he won a TED fellowship, and a sort of dream came true for him. When I met him, he was practically homeless, living in this abandoned boat that he fixed up in Berkeley Marina, and in 2 years, he was a kind of a TED junkie. He was in this period of really reading books and watching these TED videos for ideas. And so he went from, practically homeless to on stage at TED with a business and a book in the span of 2 years. And so and he's part of a maker movement, and what's evolving here is a kind of new ecosystem for producing products where just one person or even just a small group can produce a new product and do it very quickly and get it to market in weeks. And this is something that only big companies could do only just a few years ago. So, get your idea on Bright Idea, prototype it at build a prototype at Tech Shop, get it funded on Kiss Kiss Bank Bank, and then sell it on Etsy or eBay, what have you. And so just to sort of summarize the stories, I mean, what you see is kind of emerging ecosystem, a new economy that's based on sharing and collaboration that's emerging. It's relatively small, compared to the legacy economy, if you will, but I think very promising. And it's sort of like a new land that's waiting to be settled. And so that's the sort of call to action or the opportunity for people, for France, for young people, people in between things who want to start something new, is that they can go into this environment, into this ecosystem. This is the perfect opportunity to throw out the playbook, go after your dream, build a community around that dream, and help other people do the same thing, help them realize their dreams. And when you do that, what is likely to happen, what happened to me, is that your community will open the world to you and make the impossible possible. And so that's what I encourage you to think about and encourage other people to do. To really, the reason why I wanted to do this presentation this way is just the economy is very personal. We live in it, and we create it together. And if we don't like what we have the opportunity now to create what we want and have the kind of relationships and be the kind of people that we want. So that's my call to action. Thank you.
Neil, thank you very much. It sounds like a breath of fresh air from California. Do you think that California is particularly suited to this kind of sharing, or this is possible everywhere?
I don't want to pump the California thing, because I mean there is something unique in I think in the Bay Area, but I see this popping up all over the place. Mm-hmm. This is a global phenomenon. Mm-hmm. They have Fab Labs here in Europe. I mean, bike sharing is something that came out of Paris.
Well,
VLib,
at least VLib was the thing that really put it on the map.
That really,
there
that
were
catalyzed
other cities that had done it. Yeah.
That catalyzed the whole thing. So, and I feel like there's a sort of a global creative class and community and culture that's emerging, that's making sort of the Silicon Valley thing, possible everywhere, with its own unique characteristics.
Okay. So everybody should take heart from that. It can be done anywhere. Thank you very, very much for sharing your stories.
Yeah.
And if I could call up on stage, thank you.